for increased support for women through the social development pillar. The national vision specifically calls for women to assume a significant role in all aspects of society, whether they be economic or political. With such forward-thinking leadership, it's easy to see that here in Qatar, we're on the right path. Before I go any further, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, the Qatari Business Women's Association and the Interactive Business Network. Their efforts have been instrumental in creating a platform which raises issues, tackles the difficult challenges, and celebrates the successes of many women in business. Thank you for your efforts year after year. It's safe to say that women enter the workforce for a variety of reasons. First, as a means to perhaps support their families. Next, as a means for fulfillment, intellectual enrichment, and engagement. Or perhaps it's because they've seen something in their society or in their economy that just simply needs addressing. As women, you face additional responsibilities balancing careers and family commitments. These add even more demands on precious time, energy, and limited resources. I see this every day in my own life at home with Andrea, my wife, as she raises our two wonderful daughters and does so while maintaining her career as an international aid worker. In spite of the demands that I put on her and the challenges that she faces in her career, I see lots of reason for hope. Women's success in the business world is on the rise, and there is far greater recognition of the value of diversity in leadership and diversity in work teams at sustaining business results and achieving even greater business results. The growing rate of women in business and leadership roles is a clear signal that we are making progress. Women bring unique skills that are invaluable to the business community. Inherent skills such as negotiating, like Andrea, every time she has to convince our 3-year-old to do what she doesn't want to do. Like networking, like intuition and trust, grounded in the fact that women tend to be better listeners. Probably more than anything else, the thing that I observe is that many of my professional female colleagues and people like my wife, they have this incredible ability to make complex situations look simple, with this incredible capability to multitask. I have the privilege of working with many accomplished female professionals. I'll share a quick anecdote about one of our young Qatari females who will represent ExxonMobil at a panel later in this forum. Michelle Naimi works in our law department, and in her first year, she's been with the company about 18 months. In her first year with the company, she took and passed the New York bar, something that only 1 in 3 foreign students do on their first attempt. She served on the Conference of the Parties Supreme Committee for the Doha COP18, Doha hosted COP18, and helped participate in forging the Doha Gateway. All of that, doing all of that while she satisfied her work commitments at ExxonMobil. As a leader of an organization, I understand that my primary responsibility is to make sure that we build an ecosystem and an environment where all of our employees are able to flourish and reach their fullest potential. While we recognize this as part of our core business, there is a specific need to focus on the issues that challenge women in the workplace. People like Michelle, who too often can run into barriers that limit them from reaching their fullest potential. One way we do this at ExxonMobil is by establishing women's interest networks to support professional development and support professional growth. In Qatar, this network is known as EMRAA, which stands for ExxonMobil Reaching, Aspiring, and Advancing. It also happens to be the Arabic word for woman. This network provides our female workforce additional opportunities to develop their own leadership skills, seek and establish and connect to mentors, and ultimately use their skills to connect to the Qatari community and the broader business environment. EMRA also identifies issues of importance to the participants and offers coaching to help address the difficult challenges of work-life balances. Outside of our company, we recognize the need to support women in their quest to participate in the workforce through our corporate social responsibility programs. Whether through our partnership with the Ministry of Social Affairs at the Al Farsan Center, which aims to develop capacity of women in the remote parts of Qatar, or through the Rauda Center's Mashrui program, which offers training to aspiring female entrepreneurs, we know as a company we have a role to play in the community. In fact, advancing economic opportunities for women is something that, at a global level, our corporation has taken on in a sustained, prioritized way. To help address this need globally, we've established a global women's in management network. And this program aims to strengthen management and leadership and technical skills for women working in civil society or in nonprofit organizations. In just 8 years since we've started this initiative, we've supported training programs throughout the world and reached more than 500 women in 60 different countries. This includes Qatar, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and the Emirates. The real power of this program is grounded in the fact that when women acquire these skills, they go back and help propel other women forward and help propel their communities forward. Statistics show that women leaders reinvest the proceeds from what they've gained at a greater rate than their male counterparts back into the communities where they live. This is a powerful multiplier effect. The success we've experienced through programs like these gives us confidence as we go forward to know that we're on the right track. But it is in fact a journey, and we know we have a very, very long, long way to go. The challenges that females face in the workplace are unique and they are real. And the concerns that are raised through forums like these are valid. I know this because I see it in my own organization. At ExxonMobil, women currently make up 28% of our worldwide workforce. This falls well short of where we need to be. I'm pleased to report that as we go out and hire today, of the professional women we're onboarding, that percentage has risen to over 40%. So we are making progress. We are working to improve the gender balance within our company and amongst our leadership. And again, we have a long way to go. It's because of this challenge that I'm especially appreciative of the efforts of forums like these that give us the opportunity to have a robust discussion about what really needs to be worked on. Where are the opportunities to improve? Where can we fix problems that are before us? I often tell my team, make sure you're giving me the brutal truth. Well, I ask that in your participation through the forum this week, that we get to those brutal truths that can help the business community propel women forward and help our overall community become stronger. No single economy can create jobs, improve incomes, and be diverse and durable for the long term without full participation of their society, full participation of women. And honest dialogue and efforts on all of our parts, we can make this journey one of exponential growth. There's a proverb that talks about when you propel women forward, the world moves with them. Well, let's work this week to make sure we propel the world forward. I thank you for your attention.
الكلمة الآن للسيدة عائشة الفردان، وهي نائب رئيس مجلس إدارة رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات. تعمل السيدة فردان دون كلل لدعم دور سيدات الأعمال القطريات ودورهن في الاقتصاد القطري. كان لها في هذا المجال دور أساسي في تطوير فكرة ملتقى قطر لسيدات الأعمال كمؤتمر سنوي والعمل على تحقيقه. كما أطلقت مبادرة جائزة رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات. بعد تخرجها من جامعة قطر عملت في القطاع المصرفي لمدة 9 سنوات قبل أن تنضم إلى مجموعة الفردان في عام 2003. شاركت في العديد من المؤتمرات الخليجية والإقليمية والدولية، وهي عضو في مجلس إدارة شبكة سيدات الأعمال للشرق الأوسط وشمال إفريقيا. اختارتها مجلة فوربس في المرتبة 24 بين أهم 50 سيدة أعمال عربية في العام 2006. تفضل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سعادة الدكتور محمد السادة وزير الطاقة والصناعة في دولة قطر، أصحاب السعادة والوزراء والسفراء والضيوف الكرام، السادة الصحفيين وممثلي وسائل الإعلام، أخواتي العزيزات، إخوتي الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني أن أرحب بكم من كل قلبي بالنيابة عن سعادة الشيخة العنود بنت خليفة بن حمد آل ثاني، رئيسة رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات وزميلاتي في الرابطة، في بيتكم الثاني وبين أهلكم في قطر. وأتمنى أن تحملوا نسمات هذا الصباح القطري الجميل والمنعش ما نحمله تجاهكم من محبة وصداقة. حياكم الله. أريد قبل أن أستهل خطابي أن أتوجه بشكري لسعادة الشيخ أحمد بن جاسم بن محمد آل ثاني وزير الاقتصاد والتجارة على رعايته لهذا الملتقى، كما أتقدم ببعض كلمات الشكر لكل من ساهم في تنظيم هذا الحدث الهام، وعلى رأسهم عضوات رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات وشركة انتراكتيف بزنس نتورك، وذلك على عملهم الدؤوب واهتمامهم بأدق التفاصيل. وأشكر كذلك كل من ساهم في إنجاح هذا اللقاء من خلال أي عمل صغير أو كبير قام به. لكم مني جميعا كل الشكر والتقدير. أخواتي العزيزات، الأخوة الحضور، إن هذا الملتقى أصبح دون شك من أهم الأحداث على أجندة المؤتمرات والملتقيات السنوية في المنطقة، ويهدف دائما وأسوة بجميع أنشطة رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات إلى تمكين المرأة القطرية والخليجية والعربية عامة من أن توظف كامل قدراتها وتقوم بدور فاعل وأساسي في التنمية الاقتصادية والاجتماعية في عالمنا العربي. وبناء على القناعة الراسخة بأن المرأة وسيدة الأعمال العربية قد بلغت مرحلة لا يمكن الرجوع منها إلى الوراء، ستنطلق مناقشات الملتقى الرابع لتركز على موضوعه الرئيسي، ألا وهو سيدات الأعمال العربيات رائدات التغيير، ولنتناول عدد من المواضيع والقضايا الأساسية في هذا المجال، ومنها أساليب القيادة في الأعمال، وخصائص المرأة الناجحة كعاملة تغيير، وتنمية المبادرة والريادة لدى سيدات الأعمال وتمويلها، وغير ذلك. كما سيشهد الملتقى هذا العام حفل الإعلان عن جائزة قطر لسيدات الأعمال لعام 2013 مساء اليوم إن شاء الله، وقد حرصنا أن نشارككم هذا الحفل حيث تعكس الجائزة الدور المتزايد في تطوير ثقافة الأعمال بين السيدات القطريات وتحفيزهن على المنافسة الاحترافية في مجالات عملهن المختلفة. كما سيشهد إطلاق أول منصة للأعمال للسيدات في منطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا، وهي نتيجة شراكة بين شبكة سيدات الأعمال في الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا التي تمثلها في قطر رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات العضو المؤسس، وشركة فوكس للتمويل في لوكسمبورغ. وستلعب هذه المنصة دورا مهما في تمكين المرأة وتوفير فرص استثمارية مبتكرة لها، مما سيساهم بكل تأكيد في التنمية الاقتصادية والتقدم الاجتماعي. أخواتي العزيزات، الإخوة الحضور، نحن نجتمع كل عام من أجل غاية، وهي غاية جدية وسامية، أن نعيد للمرأة مكانتها في عالم الاقتصاد والمال، وأن نمنحها موقعها الذي تستحقه في المجتمع، وأن ندفع معا باتجاه مشاركة أوسع لها في كل القطاعات، وأن نتناول كل العقبات والمصاعب التي ما زالت تعوقها، ونحاول معا تجاوزها والبحث عن مخارج لها. لكننا لا ننسى أيضا أن نتذكر السبب الحقيقي لوجودنا معا، وهو أن نكون فعلا معا. أقصد أن نعيش معا هذه التجربة، وأن نبحث معا عن الحلول لمشاكل نعاني منها جميعا أيا كان مكاننا في العالم، وأن نتجاوز حدود الثقافة واللغة والجغرافيا، كلها من أجل تحقيق هذه الغاية. الحضور الكرام، أتمنى أن يحقق هذا الملتقى تطلعاتكم، وأن تشاركوا معنا بكل ما لديكم من خبرات وتجارب. وأتمنى من كل قلبي أن تجدوا بيننا كل الترحيب والمحبة التي تستحقونها، وأن تعتبروا أنفسكم في بيتكم. وأختتم كلماتي بالتوجه بخالص شكري وامتناني للشركات والجهات التي بادرت إلى رعاية ودعم هذا الملتقى، على ثقتهم الكبيرة والدائمة، وعلى دعمهم المتواصل للملتقى، ولكافة نشاطات رابطة سيدات الأعمال القطريات. وأتمنى أن يعود هذا الملتقى بالفائدة علينا جميعاً، وأن يعزز نجاحه فرص التعاون والتنسيق معكم دائماً. شكراً لكم جميعاً، ومن الله التوفيق، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكراً للسيدة عائشة. الآن الكلمة للسيد وائل الصوان، وهو العضو المنتدب ورئيس مجلس الإدارة في شركات شل قطر ومدير مشروع اللؤلؤة لسوائل الغاز. هو خريج جامعة ميغيل في كندا وجامعة هارفارد. عمل في مجال الاستثمار المصرفي في مصرف جولدمان ساكس في نيويورك، قبل أن ينتقل إلى شركة رويال داتش في عام 1977، وتنقل بين سلطنة ولندن ولاهاي، ثم تسلم من خلال إدارة الإنتاج في الشركة مسؤوليات في أسواق الهند وأندونيسيا. تولى منصب المدير التنفيذي للتجارة والأعمال الجديدة والتطوير والغاز المسال الطبيعي في قطر في عام 2008، ورقي إلى منصبه الحالي في العام 2012. تفضل.
شكرا. Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Saleh Al-Sada, Minister of Energy and Industry, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, good morning to you all. Let me start off by admitting that I don't have too many events like this where I get to be in the minority as a man speaking to a mass of women, so bear with me as I go along. But I do take strength in the fact that, headed by His Excellency Dr. Sada and with Bart, we are well represented and reinforced in the energy sector here on this panel, and hopefully this continues in the years to come. What a time it is to be standing here and talking about this critical issue. I was reading an article just a couple of days ago which talked about the incredible role that most of the 20 or so female senators in Washington played in really building the compromise and the foundation of what eventually became the deal that extended the debt ceiling, putting aside partisan politics and allowing the government in the states to reopen. Truly an unbelievable achievement, and one that avoided not only implications for the United States, but of course for the world at large. And of course here in the Middle East we have our own set of challenges as one spring rolls over into the next and into the next and into the next. And I think we now look at a time of unprecedented change for the region, where if you look at the political landscape, the social landscape, or the economic landscape, the reality is that things are changing and changing quickly. But I tend to be the sort of person who looks at the glass half full. And I would say this in the context of the region, mainly with the confidence of seeing how we are investing in education and training, and how we have done so over the last 2 decades or so, in a way that has really unleashed the talent, not only of our men, but even more importantly, to rectify the balance of our women. And today, of course, in many parts of the Arab world, you see women represented as leaders of the business community, leaders of the religious communities, leaders of science, leaders of profession. And that is something that I think has been a massive welcome change in the region. And of course, when you stand here in Qatar, you cannot but mention the incredible role that Her Highness Sheikh Hamouza bint Nasser has played in this regard in this country. Even when I go back home to Lebanon, people talk about the example that she sets for women all around the world. Her investment and support in education, and the many institutions that support it. I see Dr. Sheikha here as well in Qatar University, an institution that has really continued to raise the bar for the education of men and women in Qatar. And that investment and that vision by Her Highness, and of course by His Highness Sheikh Tamim, has truly unlocked arguably the most valuable resource for any country, that of the human capital. In Shell, we compete for some of that talent that's coming off the universities, the markets, not only in Qatar, but Qatari talent coming from all around the world. And we strive hard to be able to attract that talent to our midst. And it's not easy. It's not easy because I think the oil and gas sector doesn't always have the natural pull for female talent, but hopefully we can see that more and more. And as some of my colleagues and His Excellency has already mentioned, that's beginning to improve. In Qatar Shell, we try hard through a number of different mechanisms and measures. We have what we call the Qatar Shell Women's Network, which is essentially a body that's helping to create a more gender-inclusive workplace for our female staff. And really the opportunity to connect with the men and women in Qatar Shell, to be able to hear some of the issues and the concerns and look to rectify them early on. It also is a body that really focuses on the personal learning and development of many of our female staff, allowing them to grow in the company. We also have the Women's Career Development Program, an opportunity for some of our women to be able to interact with senior leaders, building up their own leadership style, building up their relationships with some of the senior members of our leadership team, and allowing them to truly begin to take their rightful place across the Qatar Shell organization. And we have many others like that. But I thought I would maybe share with you a personal reflection on a journey that I and my own leadership team have been through over the last year. And actually it was a year ago when I stood here in front of many of you and spoke about what we're trying to do in Qatar Shell. So maybe an update on that story. It was around September, October of last year when we decided to embed diversity and inclusion, specifically around gender, in our performance targets for Qatar Shell for 2013. And these are measurable targets based on surveys that we conduct on an annual basis. And each one, myself and every single one of my leadership team members, held a target around diversity and inclusion. But holding targets is the easy bit of it. Being held accountable, of course, is the tougher bit, and being held accountable over a journey of many years, because this is not something we can do in 1 year. But what we did immerse ourselves into is a round table sort of program where every single leadership team member paired up with another. And we were moderated by 2 female leaders within the organization, and we invited 6 to 8 women, every single pairing invited 6 to 8 women to have a 2 to 3 hour discussion on what they were experiencing in Qatar Shell, what we call the gender tabletop discussions. And I tend to be a very logical thinker, so most of the back of my mind tends to be rationalizing what I think I understand. But I have to admit that that session was maybe the first time the light bulb struck in my head, because not only did I get the rational part of what some of our female leaders were going through, some of our female staff were going through, but also the emotional part. Some of the challenges which maybe are not structural, but sometimes are discriminatory in the way maybe somebody represents himself in a meeting, alienating one of the females sitting around the table, or expectations that a certain